Guys, welcome to the Bachelorette After Show here on AFTERBUZZ TV. We got to talk about this little video of DeMario and Britney Spears. Hometowns with Rachel, a little bit of Spain, but not all of it. We don't know why, but we'll talk about it. Here we go.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome, everyone, to AFTERBUZZ TV. This is the Bachelorette After Show. I am sitting next to, and when I say hi, my name is Danny Hoyt. If you've never watched the show or listened, this is my voice. I'm the only testosterone in the room. But that's okay, because there are three beautiful girls here, and they make the show fun. Without them, it would just be me monotonely talking like Peter. But instead, next to me, we get the beautiful, the wonderful Sterling.
Hey guys, what's up? You can find me at Sterling Case. Figure I should throw that in there.
Hey everybody, I'm Kristina Zias. You can find me at Miss Zias.
And hey everyone, I'm Christine Alexis. You can find me on social media at Christine Bean. Happy to be back this week.
And a big shout out to my boys. This song is my friend's Lainey. It's called Super Far. Paul wrote the song with Ryan Tedder. They're on tour in Australia, New Zealand, or something. Like that. It's a great song. So let's break this down because my gosh, I really want to get it. I have some very thick opinions that I was like holding back, trying not to tell you guys while we were watching. Guys, we try really hard not to talk while we watch. It's because we don't want to get out.
Difficult for me.
Right? Like we don't want to like get out all the thoughts and process. It's so hard to do. I feel like I'm like the dad. Sometimes I'm like, Christine, just save it for the show.
You know, because I'm always like so expressive when we're watching, and I'm like,
So you got some thoughts now.
keep
Are you
it,
ready?
reel it in.
Christina does pretty good. She's been around the block enough with AFTERBUZZ. She knows to like save the thoughts.
You do.
I
You're
definitely
coy.
know to save the thoughts, but I'm over here like observing all of you and like seeing your facial expressions, so I feel like I already know what y'all think about everything.
I feel like I made some crazy ones.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard not to.
It is. There's some things. Let's break it down. First of all, did you guys see the video of DeMario Jackson and Britney Spears that went viral?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
That was you that sent it to me.
I'm like, hello, I put it in our group chat.
So if you guys haven't seen this, it's from 2008 when MySpace was relevant.
Can we have it? Can we show it to them?
I didn't actually send a link to it, so we'd have to. It's okay.
We'll
Go
put it in
look
the
at
comments.
YouTube,
Yeah.
DeMario,
And Britney Spears. It'll come up.
So basically, like she's coming out getting paparazzi'd, and he's like, I don't know if he's working for an outlet like TMZ.
No, he was just there at the
He was
grocery
just there, and he's
store.
like, look me up, DeMario Jackson. Take down my number. You should take it down. We should hang out. Like pestering her. And there was a moment where I was like, she's kind of like, she might actually say yes. And then it flips, and he like begs for a hug.
Yeah.
It just went left.
Her
Super
facial
left.
reaction at the end of that video is my favorite thing that's ever happened.
Oh, somebody freeze
Yeah.
framed it and was like, made a meme out of it, like when
Yeah.
somebody tells you blah blah blah, and she's like,
Oh my gosh, I need to watch it.
It's so good.
fantastic.
He said in the video, so this was in 2008 or
Yeah.
something, and he said, I'm DeMario Jackson, I'm an up-and-coming actor, all this stuff, and that was like, I mean, almost 10 years ago, and he was out here trying to be an actor.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, respect the hustle.
Yeah, that's right.
guess.
Right time, right
Look at
place.
him now.
Look at him now.
Living in
kids.
lights.
Hey, we get to see him next week. We get to see him next week on Mental Health.
Oh, I'm excited about that. I wonder
Yeah.
if they're going to bring up the Paradise situation or not.
Oh,
I
for
can't
Mental
imagine.
Health?
Chris runs it. They run it. So I can't imagine they're gonna bring up Paradise.
You don't think any of the guys would like throw that out there?
They're probably going to tease
No.
Paradise, though. You can see
Yeah.
these guys
Yeah.
on Paradise. That's what they usually do.
The guys may,
Yeah.
but I don't think Chris will let that happen.
They probably won't get
Yeah.
into like the scandal of all of it, but they'll probably be like, if you miss them, you can see them next week.
I mean, there's a
Probably.
whole like PR angle they
not next
all are like baptized in. They have to take on this.
Definitely.
Well, we still have to wait till what, August 14th when Paradise premieres?
Yeah, I said the wrong date
some
last week.
time.
It's August 14th. We get a Monday, Tuesday premiere.
Which you guys is like actually 2-3 weeks ago. It's not that far.
Yeah.
3 weeks from now, August 14th.
Yeah.
Is that 3 weeks away?
Exciting.
Isn't that crazy?
Holy
exciting.
moly.
Yeah, it is kind of
Life's
crazy,
gonna
but
be
it's not a break.
completely different then. Here we go. So let's talk about this. There was hometown dates with Rachel, with the fam in Dallas, and then the overnights in Spain. We saw 2 out of 3. I don't
Yeah, that's
know
so weird.
why.
I didn't like that.
And Rachel's dad is a no-show because federal prosecutors don't play, so I don't blame him. So we've never seen him on the show.
No, but I love that he's
Yeah.
consistent with it. He's like, girl, you do your thing. I'm
He's
not
like, I'm not.
part of the Bachelor franchise at all.
Somebody tweeted me and you, and they're like, her dad's not touching the franchise with a 10-foot pole.
Nope.
He was like,
I want to know, though, if he's like somewhere in the house.
Yeah, he was in the guest room, probably like just
Definitely.
chilling, like watching TV, eating some food.
Well, even last time with Nick said that he met him off camera.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm sure her dad met the guys off camera. He just does not want anything to do with the Bachelor franchise. Yeah,
I feel like between his mom, between Rachel's mom and her sister Constance and her cousin, like I think they held down the fort with those questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
And at one point, her mom did say something along the lines of like, "I speak for your mother or your father,
and I."
or
Yeah.
her father and I." So I'm sure they had conversations about it.
Definitely.
And like, you know what I mean? That's why she probably said that. Interesting. All right, so let's do this. First up, we got some hometowns. Why are you guys laughing at me?
I'm not.
I'm just smiling. I'm happy to be here.
Maybe this is a good time to say hello to everybody that can't watch us, but you listen the next day on iTunes and you're in your car. The three girls are looking at me really funny right now. I'm not sure why.
You're so cute, Danny. That's what we're looking at.
But also, more importantly, we want to say thank you guys for downloading and rating us. That's why we do this. And to everybody in the chat roll, it's awesome because as soon as we go live, the chat roll numbers like triple.
It's popping right now.
I know, it's my favorite thing. Everybody wants to talk about Peter, so let's dive into Peter.
Wait, and also, can I just say something really quickly? I know for me, like, I've been doing this show for, 2 years now. I love it so much, and just you guys interacting with us on a weekly basis in the chat roll, on Twitter, like, sliding into our DMs. Like, on Instagram, I feel like I'm chatting with you guys about The Bachelor all week. And I love doing that. It's so much fun. I'm sure you guys all feel the same way.
Yeah.
So, like, if you ever want to continue the conversation, like, find us on social media. We are down to continue this conversation. I'm always, like, talking to people about The Bachelor, whether they want to listen or not. So, like, if you actually want to discuss it, like, let's do it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
I feel
thank
the
you
same
guys
way.
for following us. It's so fun. All right, with that said, Peter.
I love that. Hello from Canada. Hi, G. Leslie from Canada. Let us know where you're from. We love hearing that too. All right, up first, Peter. They go. Let's start with the hometowns. Let's save like the conversation for later, till later, so we can like chronologically follow. So up first, Peter. And they're picking out something for Alistair. Your sister Constance's baby shows up. What'd you think of Peter's interaction with the fam? Sterling.
I thought it was great. I think he was very honest, and he also gave us more information that Rachel didn't know yet. So he wasn't just like spitting back everything that he's already told her.
Did you see her face when he was saying that?
Yeah,
she was like locked.
Yeah. Well, and he right before they went into the house, he finally told her or gave her some reassurance, which is what I needed from him last week. So I got from him this week what I didn't get from him last week, which was making me doubt how he really felt. But I think that this week he brought his A game. Until we're just talking about the family part.
I mean, you guys know I haven't been totally on the Peter bandwagon. But he definitely, like, seeing him in this hometown date, I felt like he fit in with Rachel and her family. I mean, I think it was Andrea called Peter the winner. That's a huge thing to say.
Yeah.
I just felt like he was very cool, calm, and collected. And I like seeing that easy confidence about him. He just felt very...
He didn't try to be anything he wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
However, you know, it was still like the same situation about him saying, like, he isn't necessarily in love with Rachel and he isn't necessarily ready for marriage. I think he handled that conversation with Rachel's mom very well, because I think if it was one of the other guys, they would have been like, why are you here?
Right.
So I think the family honestly gravitated towards Peter right away.
The thing about that, though, is her mom is also very skeptical about people using the word love right now at this stage. So I think that the fact that he didn't was actually a good thing for
I know.
him.
The music, like the background music stopped right before she goes, and I actually like that.
Yeah. I was like scared. I'm like, is she gonna be like, why are you here? But yeah, I think you're right. Like he played it the smart way because he knew that they would have the same amount of reservations that he has, and he's been honest about that from day in and day out. But I think if I were Rachel, like I'm so glad that they had that conversation before they went in the house, because that would be really awkward going in, having had that last conversation, leave it the way it was, like, well, I don't know if he's actually going to propose to me. Now I'm supposed to come in here and show my family and like vouch for him and like put him in a position to like be liked by everybody when I'm not even really sure like he's down for my end game, the end game that I want. So I think it was a good step that he told her like I love you before going into it, but
Well,
I
he
was
said, I'm
frustrated
falling
with
in
later.
love.
Well, I'm falling in love. Sorry, can't give Peter all that yet, but. Yeah.
But here's what's crazy is like when you think about the real world, I know it's so hard to compare what we see in the show with what happens in the real world. When you compare it, like I don't think I really realize how much I feel for somebody until I'm about where they're at now, which is like 7-8 weeks in, and you're apart for an amount of time or something, and you were like, you have this realization, like I miss this, like wait, something's wrong, something's off.
Right.
And he said as much, which is where in the real world you usually are about this far in, and so. What's this? You have a very skeptical look, Christina.
No, I'm waiting to hear what you have to say.
Well, it's so hard for me because I feel like, and I actually love the way he's approached it. And it's so contradictory because we're brainwashed to think this is how it has to happen. And like, I'm so on board with the way he's approaching the show. And it was interesting to hear him say that because that's very much about the timeline I feel like I've had, at least in previous experiences.
I think Rachel and Peter are so much like each other, though. Like, when I was watching last week, when I was home, I wasn't here, but I remember just thinking, like, he's exactly where Rachel was this time around on Nick's season. And I think that's why she continues to give him the benefit of the doubt and feel for him. Because when I watched Rachel on Nick's season, it almost felt like she was eliminated, like, right when she finally opened up. And I'm just curious if, like, that's what's going to happen with Peter. Like, if he finally gets to that point and then she sends him home. Because I know watching that, she felt like maybe it wasn't enough time, and she was so remorseful after not feeling like she didn't open up enough to Nick. And I don't know, it seems like that's the road that Peter's going down.
See, I don't agree with that. I don't think that she ever really wanted to be with Nick. Like, knowing Rachel and knowing, I act like I'm BFF with Rachel, but from what I see about Rachel, like, and actually having met Nick, I just feel like Rachel was in for the adventure and the ride, and I think that watching them too during Nick's journey, they seem to have a great connection as friends. Like, I never once believed that Rachel was falling in love with Peter, and I kind of feel the same way with Peter. He's a little bit more reserved, obviously, but I almost, like, I'm so happy he said what he had to say, and I hope that he feels that way, but part of me, like, has to be a little skeptical of the timing of it. Like, was it too convenient? Like, you're going in, like, do you feel like you have to say this now to keep moving forward, or do you truly mean it? Because he's saying, I'm falling in love with you, but then his actions don't necessarily show that.
I feel like he was genuine in saying that he's falling in love because he had time to reflect on the rose ceremony before, and he was like, I wish I had said this. I wish I didn't have said what I said the way I said it or whatever. I think he had time to reflect on that, and that was obviously weighing on him. He wanted to get it out there before going into the house.
I agree, especially because, like, he knows he's going up against someone like Brian and Eric who are so ready to, like, reveal their feelings. Like, I think it finally just hit him, like, okay, I need to just do more now. I don't feel like it was fake.
Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily feel like it was fake. I just feel like, I mean, I guess that's what he had to do in that situation. Right. Really, they only have so much time, so.
It probably was a huge wake-up call to be down to him and Dean and then be like, oh, well, this whole thing could be over.
Yeah, he said that.
I need to say what I need to say.
Yeah. Danny, thoughts?
My thoughts have to do with their conversation later, so I'm like trying to like wait. So we can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all right, so let's get into Eric's turn with the family. Eric, I think it was a little bit of a slow burn. Like, it took a second, but at the end they all were like, holy crap, and they did what we did over the whole season, which was like, who is this guy? Unsure. Wait, he's kind of awesome. Oh my gosh, I really like this guy.
Right.
I felt like that was the progression that happened in the 2 hours they were together. You see that?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Eric definitely is growing on me more and more. I just wish he would stop purring so much.
That's the only. That's like literally the
only thing that
I was waiting for one of you to say it.
Yeah, but I'm definitely Team Eric. Like, I could see them working. I think he's very genuine. His energy, I love it. Oh my God. Yes, it is apparently, but
there is something every single time Eric smiles, I feel like he lights up the room. And he just seems so sweet and so sincere and genuine. And you can see that, like, he's probably scared out of his mind in this journey. Like, he's meeting this, I think he honestly, like, would love to make Rachel his wife. And I truly believe that if she were to choose him, he would be in it to win it, like, in it for the long run. Yeah. Whether she will or not, I don't know. But I was so happy to see him succeed with her family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, like, the big knock, and you can see, like, the look on their face is, like, what he comes from. Like, has he seen a good example? How, and I think the mom was trying, like, her mom was trying to ask questions that I think were like, what would a family look like to you? Because he never really had the same example that she's had. And I think that's probably the biggest question mark in their heads. And Rachel even said as much, that she's got red flags. Who was she talking to? I think it was her sister.
Might have been her sister or cousin.
Her cousin. No, it was her cousin. And she said, well, my only hesitation, my 2 red flags. And she was talking about that he hasn't been in a serious relationship. Right. And so, you know, you marry those kind of things together. I think those are natural red flag questions to have as a family. But to your point, we watched him succeed and answer and overcome those red flags in a matter of 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
And for people that were like, we saw later with Brian, like grilling him, they had every opportunity to grill him, and he overcame whatever questions, because he left and they were all smiling and happy and impressed.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So
I know, I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. I don't think that going back to Peter just really quickly and back to Rachel's experience with Nick, like sometimes you don't open up to a person because they're not the person for you and you don't feel like you can do that. But we've seen Eric overcome all of these things. This is new for him. This is, he has a problem expressing his feelings, all the stuff. But he's overcome that and he has been able to do that with Rachel. And I think that that's because she's the right person to like show him what love is.
Yeah, and I don't know if she's the right person for him to marry, but she is. She's like someone. We all have people along our journey that helped us discover pieces, and this could be like the major piece. If they're not meant for each other, part of it is like she was meant to show him like what an example is and what he's worth.
Yeah, I feel like with Eric and
Rachel,
Rachel,
worth it. I know.
with those two specifically, I feel like it's just as much about him as it is about her journey. Because it's very like whenever they have their conversations, I feel like it's always comes back to very much like I've never been in this position before. This is so new for me. Like he's constantly expressing like how he's feeling present in this moment, and I think that's something that Rachel like holds on to, like that she can bring that out of him.
I feel like he'd be the guy. Not that Peter Brown, but like he'd be the guy if they went on vacation would literally just like chuck his phone somewhere and forget where it goes and just be present like the whole time.
Totally.
Like he'd be that guy. Whereas like Brian, do you see the picture that came out of him where he's like modeling the outfit he wore? There's nothing wrong with like modeling outfits. Don't get me wrong. I know people do that for a living.
Hello.
But that's why I looked at
Miss Zias on Instagram.
Okay, so you can follow all of that.
But like, and there's nothing wrong with that because I very much am a guy like I can be present, but there are times I like to be present and I like to capture it in creative ways because like artistically I enjoy that. But I feel like Eric would be the guy that would like be present like for the long haul forever. Doesn't give a crap. He just wants to be with you, about you, around you,
It's interesting though, because like I feel that too, but like when we were watching, I was looking on Twitter and a lot of people were saying they get like just friendship vibes from like Eric and Rachel.
Said that.
Like
well, you gotta
that
be
they're
friends.
just
I mean, I think it's important to have like
I agree.
some sort of friendship.
The best relationships come out of friendships.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying though like just friendship, not husband.
That's how I feel too, and I think that Rachel could be that person for Eric who like helps him show what love is, but I don't think that Rachel gets the same out of their relationship that Eric gets.
Like she's like his great love before the the one that probably takes his heart away and everything. Not takes his heart, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So that came out so weird.
Any other thoughts on just Eric with the fam before we move to Brian with the fam?
Not until his little fantasy.
Yeah. So, I love meanwhile back in the house there was a moment with Peter and Brian where Peter just straight up was like super honest and I kind of it wasn't aggressive. It was very just matter of fact. I just don't want to be sitting with you right now, or however you said it.
I love this sassy Peter.
It.
See, that's the side of him that we don't see with
know.
her, which is a little concerning, obviously. But like that honesty and that he's not so like.
I was like, "Ooh, Peter, you're being spicy right now." Yeah, that was spicy of you. I love it.
Also like the dig when he saw Brian's watch.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the last thing he looked at before they got up. You saw his eyes go down.
Are you wearing your watch?
Yeah. I love that.
I love that he brought it up though in front of Rachel.
In front of everybody, not when they left. Just like, oh.
Even Eric in his little ATM or ITM, whatever they're called, he was like, he goes, but they're both wearing the watch. He's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like, you can tell he's having a real convo with the producer, like sussing it out in his head.
Yeah.
That is kind of a big tell.
I saw someone on Twitter they tweeted, they were like, oh, Rachel wants them to tell the guys to tell her that they're in love with him. And then he's wearing the watch. She's wearing the watch in front of them. Yeah. She's like telling Peter and Eric, "Tell me you love me," and then she's wearing a watch that means something.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean,
interesting.
If I were a guy in that situation, I would be very insecure because you're seeing this girl go on a date. Like she's obviously excited to be with him, and they're wearing matching watches going home to meet her family. Like that's pretty significant, don't you think? Like that's a huge deal. And it's funny to see this because I don't think at this point any of us knew that any of the guys knew about the watch. Right. We're all like, did Brian keep it a secret? Does anyone know?
Well, it came out. He's like, well, you've been wearing it since that date. So
yeah, I wonder if he though went like back to the house and bragged about it. Or
he definitely did. This is Brian we're talking about.
Here's what's crazy is it's always interesting to watch the guys that go back to the house and like to talk about their date and like let people know. And then the guys are just like Nick. This is why I love Nick so much. Because he was like, I don't really give a crap what any of you guys think. You went back to the house and didn't say crap to anyone. And I love that because Peter's the same way.
But I think that's how Brian was up until this date too.
No, there'd be times where I feel like Brian got a little cocky, like a little like ego, like wants to prove that they have something other people don't have.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he was definitely trying to prove something tonight for sure.
I know, it's always interesting to me. Like I enjoy the guys that are just kind of like, Yeah, we're gonna get
Well, Brian was definitely outspoken in his little guy chat with Peter in the sense that like he brought up the fact that like I'm gonna ask for her hand, like
and
this
he
is what
asked
this
him
is about. Yeah,
it's like he wanted to know if Peter did.
yes, that was him way.
Peter,
That's
don't
his
give him
way of
any
sizing him up. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're about. Like now I'm gonna capitalize on that on my date and like go for it because you
Yup.
couldn't.
Okay,
Right.
also, these guys are in a situation that I don't think any other past contestants have been in. Because normally after hometown dates, you stay home and then you go to like, I don't know, like fantasy dates or whatever afterwards. And then you go home and
meet
meet
her
the
family,
family. So this is extremely awkward.
That's true. It's a little different. It's
It
unique. Speaking of, so let's talk about Brian with the family. Here's my main question. So we obviously saw they grilled Brian a lot. My main question is this. Did she say something to the family about him beforehand that upped their level of intrigue in Brian? Why else did they come out firing? Or was he actually 3 out of 3? So they've done this twice. They've been through it, and they're like, okay, I have more. I wish I would have been more serious with Eric. Or I wish I would have been more serious with Peter. I'm just gonna grill the crap out of Brian. What is it?
I think the family knew a little bit more about Brian than
So
the
you
other
think
guys.
she gave him a heads up, like, hey, this last one is like, we've had a little more connection. So like, I really am curious about him.
I just have to say this. What was so hard about the questions that they were asking? Because the one question when they were at lunch, he literally just asked him, what qualities about Rachel, or what qualities does it bring out of you, or something?
No, but it was right after they had already had a serious. So he like followed up that question after they had something
I
serious.
just feel like he had something prepared, and he like answered all these things in a very charming way, which is what Rachel said.
Yeah.
But then when he didn't know the answer to something, or he didn't have it planned, he got up and left. And I didn't like that whenever it got uncomfortable or he didn't have it all figured out, he just left.
It's like what Constance
says a
said.
lot.
You have all these
Yeah.
nice. Constance even said to him to his face. This is why I love her. She was like, I just feel like it's nice you have all these like answers and you're smooth because you can do that with your patients. That's like a dig.
Yeah, she's like, I know who you are, I know what you're about.
Yeah. But
That's
what about in
really-
life when something uncomfortable happens? Are you just gonna move away from the
Okay.
table? I mean,
It's
this
a
is
great
important.
question.
I don't understand why he got up and left either, because
Yeah.
it didn't seem like anything was too hard.
They should have
or,
made
like,
that a bigger deal. That's a big deal.
But however, I don't know if we were actually seeing it how it happened. I feel like
Yeah.
things
Very
seem
possible.
really edited. I think that they were trying to like make this date look bad for Brian, to
Yeah.
be honest
Yeah.
with you. And also, everyone says Brian is so charming. Like, I don't really think he's that charming.
I don't find him charming. I'm a straight guy and I can find a guy charming. I don't even
Right.
find him charming at all.
I felt like Peter was charming her family way more than Brian was, and I feel like what I actually noticed about him, if you look back at the conversation that he had with her mom, he looked like a nervous little boy. Like, he was like slouching like this. Like, he honestly looked scared. And I felt like that's the one time where I was like, okay, like, he is obviously scared. Maybe he doesn't have all the answers, and maybe
Right.
he's like nervous that this could be his potential mom. And also, I'm sorry, Brian, but like, you choose your mama over your wife.
We need to talk about that. It
Yeah,
took him way too long to answer that
That
question.
was so awkward. I'm like,
So how do you answer? Because here's my thing. Here's my stance on it. You choose your mom or your wife. Once you choose your wife, that is your life. It's not a knock on your family, but that is now the family you've chosen and you've created.
Right.
If it comes down to it, you can disagree. There's unconditional love there. It can go both ways, but I still believe that priority changes when you choose a family.
Yes.
No, and I think that Brian would choose Rachel. I mean, you would naturally choose your wife over. I think this like whole mom drama like is just to keep us fueling,
Right.
Yeah, and I think she had
But he's
Rachel.
definitely a mama's boy for sure.
Rachel had a valid point in that they asked him a question. They tried to peel back a couple more layers, and her mom defended it, saying, "You live outside the bubble. We're outside the bubble. You're in the bubble. So we need to ask these to get comfortable. Because I'm not gonna." And I fully agree with her. Like, I would not give my blessing if I still had all those kind of lingering questions.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things, like general sentiments that Rachel's family gave in their little one-on-ones with on camera was just like, the way he comes off, and they want to peel back those layers. It's a lot of the same first impressions that Rachel had. So
Right.
I don't even necessarily think she might have given them the heads up. Maybe they just genuinely see what she saw.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
I thought it was interesting that she, like, her date with Brian was the only date where she had such an emotional reaction to the questions that were being asked.
Yeah.
Like, she seemed so defensive right away. And it's like, are you that defensive because you really care about him, or are you just like afraid that they're seeing what you eventually got past, but they may not get past it? Like,
Right.
I just thought it was interesting that she reacted like that
Yeah.
to that. rather than with everyone else.
She obviously reacted like that because she really cares about him. It was very personal for her. Like, they are commenting on the guy who, like, she might want to marry. You know what I mean? Like, that's no joke.
Right.
And I think just to see how emotional she got, like, really said a lot. Like, and also, you guys, we didn't even talk about this, but, like, she brought Peter shopping for, like, kids' clothes. She brought Eric on...
to see
they went on
something in Dallas.
Yeah.
And then she brought Brian to meet her two best friends. Like,
who signed her up for this trip.
So what does
it
mean?
was
Break
like-
it down.
yeah.
Christine.
that means that, like,
Christina.
she is seriously considering Brian. Like, he's obviously the front runner. She wants to know, like, truly what her friends and family think about him because she is planning on bringing him into her life. Like, I'm sorry, but there's no other way around that.
Taking him to meet her two best friends is a huge
That was huge.
Yeah, and just that whole conversation.
That combined with how defensive she got for him when her family was grilling him, I mean...
She probably already sees him in that role.
Definitely.
And she just wants everything to, like, come together around that.
Right.
For sure.
I actually want to know this now. So I actually just put up on my Twitter a poll. I said, who is more charming, Eric, Peter, or Brian? So if you guys want to vote, it's at Danny
vote
Hoyt.
now.
I really want to know because I feel like everybody kind of has it. I'm watching the chat roll and it's blowing up because everyone's got a different opinion. Brian's more charming. Peter's more this. What I was saying about Eric wanting to be that, or I see him being that guy that would like go on vacation and not. Somebody else was like, I disagree. I see Peter being that. Everyone, I feel like this is the most divided I've seen. At least the people that watch and listen to us.
I feel like there's different ways to be charming, though. Like, I feel like Eric is charming in a sincere and genuine way. Brian's charming in a kind of sleazy, he has every answer kind of way. You know what I mean?
I feel like Brian had none of the answers. So, like, I don't get why everyone thinks that he.
Yeah, I'm with you. You and I are very rarely like on the exact same page on this kind of stuff. I'm exactly with you.
Like, I truly believe that, like, Rachel will choose Brian and that she really likes him. But I don't understand why everyone thinks, like, Brian has all the answers and that he's that charming because I don't know. I'm not, like, not charmed by him and I don't think he has all the answers at all.
I think he had the answers until the questions got hard.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably thought through, or he's answered them a million times at other girls' houses.
Yeah, he very confidently said, like, about how he felt when he first met her and how they've had chemistry from the start. Like, he had that spiel going.
I love the way Dean was. I mean, not Dean. I'm sorry. Peter was like.
Wow, sad.
Somebody just said Dean. No, I love the way Peter was like. I don't remember what I said. Like, I blacked out. To be honest, like, it's so raw and real, and I think that puts down any of those. He put down the defenses of the family like within 10 minutes. I don't know. It's big talk.
I think her cousin
But do you guys-
was feeling Peter a little
Definitely.
was.
Do you guys think that maybe it was more difficult for Brian because he's just way more invested in Rachel than maybe Peter is? Like, maybe that's why Peter was so cool, calm, and collected because he's like, you know what? I don't know if you're going to be my future in-laws. Like, so I hope you like me. Like, I'm going to, you know, express to you who I am. But I think that Brian maybe is like, holy crap, like, these could be my future in-laws.
No, I don't
you
get that
think
at all.
so?
No.
All
Christine,
right.
why do
I
you
would think it would be the opposite. Like, if you're not sure, you would want to put on a better face than trying to go into it nonchalantly. Like, well, you may or may not be my in-laws.
And especially for somebody that's that good with their words, I can't see them going in and feeling mum or like that throwing them. I don't know. I can't see that with Brian specifically. I can't see that.
Okay.
But it's a great question. It's a great
I
question.
mean, yeah. I
I still love you personally.
I love you too. I love hearing the.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to talk about
Brian.
this anymore, but I just feel like the reason that they were grilling Brian so much is because he kept throwing out the love word.
Yeah.
And I know if I brought my fiance over to the first time and he was telling my parents that he loved me and he just
It feels
loved this
disingenuous.
about me, they'd be like, who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
calm down, bro.
I agree with
Definitely.
that. Constance was completely right when he said, I already love you guys so much. It's like, no, you met me an hour and a half ago.
Yes.
There's no way you could actually
love her.
love me.
I loved her for saying that.
Yeah.
That was so truthful.
guys, I have one more thing, sorry, because people are talking about this in the chat roll.
Yeah.
You guys know that Brian was on a previous dating
Yes.
show called
Yes,
The
he
Player.
was.
Yeah. The-
Okay.
in Miami.
Brian
yeah.
Varaga or Varaga.
I just want to make sure everyone knew about that. People are talking about it in the chat roll.
tweets that out.
I watched the promo and I was mortified.
I cringed
Stop.
so hard.
I cringed so
the
hard.
outfits, the graphics.
Hello, the show's called The
hair.
Player. Like,
He
All
was
right.
competing to
All
be
right.
the biggest player in Miami. So, I mean, like.
Let's move on to Spain. So we're in La Roya, Spain. I got to start by giving shout out to Rachel's outfit because it was
First of all,
that
She always
cashmere
kills it.
drop shoulder hoodie thing with the
and her
coral
hair.
underneath.
her hair looked
Her
amazing.
hair was
that color on her.
Good. My God,
Blonde
Rachel.
straight.
I hope that she picked that out and not a not a stylist, because I really love that. She gives a little highlight of all the 3 guys. She starts with Brian. She said he's strong, he's emotional and physical. He's the only one to tell me that he loves me, but I have concerns, and the family has concerns. Then she highlights Peter. We connected effortlessly. He was the first guy to make me believe in this journey. That was a big line I loved. But I'm concerned because he's not quite ready. And then they cut to Eric because Eric is first. And she goes, but Eric, and this confused all of us, I'm most confused about him, about where his feelings stand. I'm the least confused about Eric's feelings.
Yeah,
Yes.
that threw me off. I can't believe she said that.
Do you think she just had to pick something to say?
Maybe. I mean, after last week, I feel pretty clear about how Eric feels, but I guess he hadn't said I love you yet, and that's what she wanted.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
I don't know. That was weird. Anyway, so Eric is first. You can tell he's nervous. Like the whole helicopter, he's like, Big Rach and Big E. Like he's just like saying kind of goofy things. They're in the helicopter report. He's like, put your hands up. Yeah. And he's like, you know what I mean? He's just kind of like.
I also think he's kind of afraid of heights because he was scared
He's
at that
nervous
Dallas
as heck.
thing. Well, when they went up in that, whatever that was, in Dallas, he was pretty scared of
He was also like, it's a mix of like goofy Eric.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, and we'll talk about this later, but like after they do the fantasy suite, the way his like persona is after he walks out is completely different. 10 times more comfortable and confident. Did you notice
He had
it?
a lot of feelings
He
that he
put it
needed to
down.
release, he said. He said that. I didn't say it.
He got a taste of Rachel.
I love Rachel's question. She goes, when they first sit down, they're like finally having a serious chat. She goes, what did you learn about me? That's such a great question to see how like attentive he was and what he picked up on, and you know what I mean? To see where his head was at. I loved that question. I also loved his answer. I don't know. What did you guys notice?
Can you remind me of his answer again?
That she's strong, independent.
She doesn't need much, but she needs everything.
Yes,
love
I
it.
like that he said that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because that's
definitely.
true, though. That is a good way to describe her, though. She seems pretty, like...
There was one brief moment where he was talking about when the connection changed, and he was talking about the hot tub, and she had concerns that meant physical, which tells us that something probably happened in there. But he goes, no, it was an emotional thing.
Right.
And I thought that she saw a little side of him open. I don't know. I feel like Rachel kind of, we saw a little arc from her progress with Eric on this too, because even at the end when they leave the next morning, the way she kisses him, ladies, tell me if I'm wrong, but there's like going in for a kiss and it's nice, and it's reciprocated, but there's going in for a kiss and your arms would go above my shoulder, fully wrap around my head and kiss me. That's a love kiss.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, that was completely
Do you
different
understand
than
physically
the night
what I'm
before.
saying?
I know what you're physically saying,
Like
but
if she's Eric and I'm Rachel, it was up here. That's like a love, like a romance. Am I wrong?
I will say though, at their dinner the night before, I wasn't getting that connection. Like I was a little unsure if she felt that chemistry then, but that kiss for sure, I think she was feeling it.
I don't know, give me your thoughts.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole lot of BS, to be honest with you. I think maybe they had a great night and a good kiss, but I honestly thought she was going to send him home at dinner. I felt like she was fishing and needing him to say, I love you, or I'm falling in love with you. And then when he said it, guys, she looked bored. Like she was like, okay, I got it. But I definitely don't feel the same way. Like I honestly thought she was going to send Eric home at that point.
Yeah, but then didn't she give him the fantasy suite? Like
She did,
right
which was
after?
like really confusing. I don't understand why. I almost
It
felt
was like an awkward pause, and then she gave
was-
it to him.
I didn't see it at all. I still think that they're friends. Like I don't know.
So let me ask you guys, ladies, let me ask you a question. If I'm dating you and you're waiting for me to tell you that I love you, and the way I say it is by saying I've never felt this way, the way we are makes it easier for me to fall in. Rachel Lindsay, I love you. Is that really like grab your heart and make you feel all the rainbow of emotions? Like, does that do it for you? Is that enough? Or does it matter if you like the guy? It doesn't matter what he says because he's saying I love you. Or do the words before matter?
I mean, this is hard to compare, but I remember when my fiance said I love you for the first time, like I cried. Like it was so emotional. Oh my gosh, I'm like such an emotional person.
Oh, she's
But
like,
it was like really
did he preface it with other things and like?
Yeah, actually, no. I can't remember exactly what the whole conversation was because I remember it was like just so taken back by emotion.
Yeah.
Like I truly felt it, and I knew I felt the same way.
You remember how he made you feel?
Oh my gosh, totally. I could start crying right now. I'm trying to hold
Yeah, I
back
can
because
see.
I'm so
Yeah.
emotional.
But that's amazing.
But yeah, that's how I felt. And like seeing Rachel, I was like, this bitch is bored. Like, I'm sorry.
So, because I'm watching you right now, and I hope this is okay to say, but like your eyes are watery because like you can
Okay,
access.
guys, I'm like so emotional. If I was on The Bachelor, I would totally be Ashley
No.
crying every 5 seconds.
No, what I'm saying is like
Yeah.
I can see that you're reflecting on the moment, and
Yeah.
you can access those feelings because it was something that that was big. It was monumental. And when I watched this, I love Eric, and I think you guys know that. But I didn't feel any sort of monumental moment for either of them.
I think it was a monumental moment for him. I don't know if Rachel, and for him to even be able to say that in the first place is huge for him.
Agreed.
But I don't know if Rachel actually connected with that, and maybe that's why she gave him the fantasy date so that she could see.
That's
she
what I
could
think
potentially
too.
feel
That makes
way
sense.
at the
I
same
agree
time.
with that.
I mean,
That
she's
makes
having
sense.
these strong feelings for 3 different guys. I mean, obviously your experience with your fiance was
that's
very strong, but you didn't have 2 other guys that were also telling you the same thing.
So
which is,
confusing.
yeah, which I
totally.
feel like could be very confusing.
Lina Paredes says, when the right person says I love you, that's it.
Yeah.
And I have to agree in a way, like when it's right or when it's reciprocated, there's just a different feeling about it. You can see it, you can feel it, you can watch it. You even in movies, like when they get the wrong 2 actors or it's casted wrong, and there's supposed to be this build up in a love movie, you can feel it if it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a difference between like The Notebook and like She's All That. I don't know. It was a really random other like.
Those are 2 good movies to throw out, though.
But like but the casting and you know what I mean? Like there's moments. So anyways, I'm just saying like there was a moment I didn't feel it.
She had a way more sincere reaction when Peter said, "I'm falling in love with you," than when Eric said, "I love you."
Definitely.
And that goes back to what we talked about last week, the chase of Peter.
Yeah.
And yeah, because they're both saying it pretty late in the game, so to speak. So for her to be like, yes, finally, Peter, and then with Eric be like, okay, thanks. I needed that by now.
So
you know?
speaking of Peter, let's talk about this Peter situation because this is a big deal. So it's 9:53. We have till 10:10, so we got to get through this because I know there's a lot of thoughts on this. So ladies, with Peter, they come to a standstill. We see tears. It was emotional back and forth. Where do you land on the line of the ultimate question here? Is there differences in engagement and marriage and where they're at? Where do you guys fall in this conversation?
You guys might disagree with this, but I felt like I've always respected Rachel for saying, I want to get engaged, I want a proposal, I want marriage, I want kids. And that's the way it is. And I think that's great. And she has those clear goals. But the way she kind of worded it with when Peter was saying, I want to get engaged once, I want to get married once, this is like a big deal for me, whatever. And then the way she kind of worded it to me was like, I want a proposal. It doesn't matter if it's the one. It's like the way she set it up was like, yeah, I'm going to get engaged, but we can break up later if it doesn't work out. Like that's kind of what I was getting from it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I was kind of siding with Peter in that way. It's like if you don't know right now, that doesn't mean it can't be something later. But I get that's not the point of the show.
I actually felt like this was the first time where Rachel was like just fishing so hard. I just think she wanted to say anything to get Peter to like meet her halfway.
Right.
But I agree with you. I totally agree with Peter on what the word engaged means. And engagement, I feel like if you're getting engaged, you're getting married. Like it shouldn't necessarily be a trial run. Obviously this show makes things different, but I feel like she was honestly just saying anything for Peter to be like, you're right, I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And she said one of us has to bend, and it's hard to say if one of them will because they are so similar.
Yeah.
Jay Prince on the chat room just said she's tweeting that they edited it. I don't know. I don't have her Twitter up. That's interesting.
They edited what she said and what he said, or what were they saying?
I'm not sure. She just said they edited.
I'm sure it's edited. Well, that's definitely not the full conversation.
Sure, but either way, the point is whether we get all the details in the right sequence. The point is they differ on this,
right.
and I think that to be honest, this is probably the first time this season that I've been a little off with Rachel. She's my favorite Bachelorette ever already, and I told you guys that like week 3.
I agree.
This is the first time though I think I've been a little like I've seen kind of what you were saying, where maybe she's got caught up in it or something, but there just seems to be a little bit off on her her thought pattern as it relates to this part of it. She wants to enter a proposal. Sure, we all want to see that. I think the show wants to see that. That's why they make money, but I have to side with Peter on this.
Yeah. It's like she wants a proposal from just anyone, or she obviously would like it to be the one, but the way she was saying it in that moment made it seem like, I want a proposal, I'll say yes, and then we can figure out if we actually want to get married.
But I get what
later.
she's saying. She's like, look, I decided to opt into this process because I think it's actually possible to find a husband here. And so once you get into it, I'm sure there's so many things going on. It's like that becomes your goal. You become brainwashed to see like that's the only way I finish this successful. I completely disagree with that thought and that pattern of ABC.
Well, I think she also just doesn't want to be disappointed in the end. Like, I think she really does feel very strongly about Peter, honestly. Yeah. Like, even though their chemistry may have been off at certain times, I think I think Rachel probably wishes that she was a lot farther along with Peter the way she is with Brian, and I think that's why she keeps trying to like find ways to meet him in the middle to really like flesh that relationship out a little bit, because if she does decide to give him a chance and like bet on him and know that she's gonna get left there like with nothing, I could see why she's like, okay, but like don't do this to me, you know? That at least that's the vibe I'm getting from her.
I agree with that.
Well, by the way,
100%.
Peace Love Jen said, Rachel tweeted, "This was the chopped and screwed version of my response.
Yeah.
Obviously, engagement means marriage to me. It's all I talk about."
Okay.
Yeah.
So she corrected it.
I really think that she was just trying to like give Peter anything to be like I want to be with you at the end, and I'm sad for Peter because I loved watching him in her hometown and meeting her family, and I kind of just feel like he was ruining this for her. Like she was giving him every opportunity, and I think this is him being like, I don't think I want to marry you.
I disagree. I don't think he's
Really?
saying that. I don't think there's an ultimate. I think he's honestly just a little more calculated, and I actually kind of love that. And I think she's wanting validation from him so badly in that sense of where she's at, but it's only because of the condition. I don't think if it was in the real world, she would ever make him do that. I don't think she would ever be that way towards a guy. I don't see that. So I think that's getting caught up in the Bachelor franchise.
I'm conflicted just because I feel like, going back to the conversation about like breaking through whatever you're going through just to be honest and be open, I feel like if Rachel was the right person for Peter, he would be willing to bend a little more than he is. Because the fact that he said, "Oh, well then I don't know what to do now." It's
That's
okay,
an
well
interesting
we're
point.
not compromising here. You're not
all.
sacrificing anything. She wasn't sacrificing anything, and they weren't even trying to meet halfway. It was like, I feel this way. It's the exact opposite of you. And then they just said, I don't know what to do.
But how can she possibly sacrifice? Like, she has other guys telling her that like they love her and they want to marry her.
Yeah.
So like to bet on someone who's like, I'm not really sure if you're the one for me, like that puts her in a really difficult situation. And I think that like this was the first time where I was like, okay, obviously like Rachel definitely cares about Peter,
Right.
and maybe wants it to be him, but like.
But let's be super real for a second. Whatever the hell happens with the show, let's say and you said like bet on it, right? Let's say she picks Peter, and 2 months in it doesn't work. Then screw it, you had a connection. Go get a hold of the other guy. Like, I'm sorry, I know that sounds dramatic, but at the same time, it's really real because it's only 2 months.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's shady or weird at all.
I don't think that's true, except I kind of feel like Andy should have done that with Nick. But I think that...
Nick's happy now, and him and Vanessa actually seem real happy.
Okay, good. But I think that if she were to choose Brian, like, if it's between, like, Brian or Peter or like, Peter and Eric, like, those two guys are saying they want to be with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't just say yes because somebody wants to be with you.
But, yeah, but I think she wants to be with them, too. She's just down to 3 guys.
We gotta think like Rachel in this process. We have to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah.
Because like in the real world, like you said, maybe she wouldn't push him to do that, but
Right,
In the
but
real
it's like-
world,
where
she said
she's
she would
at.
have dated that guy that we had no
I
idea who
know.
it was. So,
Right?
like, that's completely... Yeah.
When all of you guys get in that like commenting phase, you all are on the exact same tone. I literally don't hear a thing you say. It's awesome.
It was so fun. I always go back to Trista. I feel like Trista was like one of the best bachelorettes,
Yeah, I agree.
and she chose Ryan because she felt like he really loved her, and at the end of the day, like he wanted the exact same things that she wanted, and he would be there for the long run. And I feel like Rachel's looking for something like that too.
I honestly think, and if I really had it, this is my last big thought on this, that I honestly think that she loves Peter the most, and I think that once this clicks and she gets out of this like thing, I think that what she really wants is what Peter's offering, and they're not dissimilar. I think there's a little bit of a miscommunication, but what they both want is actually the same thing, and we only saw a fragmented part of the conversation.
For sure.
So we're all Bachelor Nation are asking the same questions when really I think it's probably resolved more than we think.
Right.
So that's my guess.
Yeah.
I think they're a
Is this a
lot
good
closer.
time for predictions though then? Like what do you
Predictions.
think's
Yeah, let's do predictions.
Let's do predictions.
Let's predictions, then we can end the show. So your prediction, Christine, is
TV predictions.
My prediction is, just from the way the promo was set up and everything that happened this week, I think she's going to keep Peter. I think she's going to give him one last chance to really come to terms with how he feels about her and where they're at. And I think it's going to really be a tough moment for her to send Eric home, because I do think Eric is going to go home. That's my prediction.
I agree with Christine on that. I think that as much as Peter's telling her like he doesn't want the same things, I don't think she's ready to let him go.
Yeah.
So I think she's gonna keep him around and hope that he changes his mind.
I agree. I think it's probably going to be Peter. I don't think that the connection is as strong with Eric as much as I love him, and I would love to see them together. But I think this is like the beginning of a very exciting like life for him now that he's been able to do this. But I could see them together, but I'm gonna go with Peter.
And people are starting to chime in about this, like Carrie C and Sam M, like talking about that they agree, they just think that Peter and Rachel are caught up on semantics.
Yeah.
I think they're a lot more similar than we think, and I don't know. This comment's driving me crazy. YO said, so the most accomplished bachelorette in history should choose to be a girlfriend and not a wife. You don't. It's not like you're choosing between a girlfriend and a wife. You're choosing the right person. And nobody has to force a timetable on anybody for any kind of relationship, whether it's a freaking show or not. And at the end of the day, I think it's hard to argue that there's a better match for her than Peter. That's my prediction. In my
I
statement.
think they're trying to throw us off right now with all this
1000%.
like conflict with Peter.
Yep. And that's why they didn't end on Brian's date. That's why we're probably going to see Brian before Men Tell All next week, is because they want to leave us all with these puzzling questions for a week because it adds to the drama. When really, I think they probably went in the fantasy suite and they probably had a great conversation, are on the same page, and are going to leave more in love than anybody we've seen. That's my guess.
I don't agree with that.
She's planning her engagement party right now, so I'm
saw
very
that.
excited.
Is
about
she?
it.
Yeah, she snapped that
Oh, that's
today.
so exciting! I can't
really
wait
good.
to see
Whoever
who she
it's
actually
to.
Yeah,
What'd you
I'm
guys say?
excited.
she's planning her engagement party. Oh.
You tune us out. That's why, Danny.
Just
Just turn around.
Tom
You're
Selective
fine.
hearing.
All right, well, any other final thoughts? We see a little preview next week. Mental Law. God, I really hope somebody shuts Lee up.
Oh, definitely.
I don't even want him to have airtime.
I don't want to see it.
Why did they invite him?
You know who's going to be
Honestly.
there? Blake K, the infamous that everybody wants to see.
Oh wait, Asian
no, that's-
Blake?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I'm sorry. I was like, I
You
don't
ever
care about
wonder
the
how
Blake.
he's doing?
Oh my gosh, wait,
You
I was like,
do.
who's Blake?
Who else is there going to be drama with? Iggy had some drama.
Josiah, I'm sure, is gonna stir up something
yeah.
because you know he likes
There'll
attention.
definitely be a lot about Dean for sure. I think he'll be the
Yeah.
main focus, honestly.
Dean will be probably the last interview. It'll probably be the last big one because it's always like the biggest one for last. And then Rachel come out.
And Demario.
Oh, and there's like the Kaboom guy. Is that what?
Yeah, I don't think-
Waboom.
I don't think he'll get much airtime. I think they'll make fun of him once or twice.
Yeah.
I think they'll focus on Kenny and Lee and Demario.
Yep.
Don't
And
they-
then Dean will be
Yeah,
the serious
Dean.
one.
It's funny because when they do the Women Tell All, like all the women are obviously vying for that spot to be on Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah.
So it's like interesting to see because the guys like obviously
There's nothing they
lost
can
their
vie
shit.
for.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of amazing. So we'll see some real stuff. 2 weeks we see a dramatic finish. The only clue we got was whoever steps out of the black car that pulls up, they show one shoe. Did you guys notice what it was?
No,
You guys don't pay attention to these kind of things?
no, sorry.
Well, I guess I'll save my thoughts on that for later. That's all. In the meantime, Christine, where can people find you till next week?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Christine Bean with 3 E's.
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and across social media at Miss Zias.
You guys can find me everywhere at Sterling Cates.
And you guys and girls can find me on everything at Danny Hoyt. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.